The Eagles break the NFC East curse with a win over the Commanders. They win the division. They're going back to the playoffs. 10-5 record after winning 29-18 over the Commanders. They go to 4-11. Who would have thought that these Week 16 and Week 18 games between the Eagles and Commanders had really no playoff implications for the Commanders? Obviously, NFC Championship rematch. That's just been a dumpster fire season for them. But on the Eagles side, it was a pretty good game. Very slow first half. Second half picked up a little bit. My immediate first thoughts were the pass offense looks a lot better. If you look at AJ Brown's route tree in this game compared to what it was earlier on in the year, it is a lot better. And I thought there was a lot of good takeaways to come from this game. There's a couple mistakes here and there that cost us. Will Shipley and Jake Elliott really were the two things that just kind of screwed us in the first half. You know, Opening kickoff of the game, Will Shipley fumbles. It's just a disaster. That cannot happen. Jake Elliott misses a field goal a little later on. Then we get a kickoff again, and Will Shipley, who's in the end zone, which we would have got the ball to 35, he stumbles out of the end zone. Instead, he has to run it out. He gets to the 18. He screwed us again there. And then Jake Elliott misses two more kicks at the end of the half as well. Terrible special teams. I'm not saying the offense was perfect in that first half, but you just can't screw yourselves like this, week in and week out with these dumb blunder mistakes. If you watch any other football team that's contending for a title this year, you just don't see this many special teams mistakes. You really don't, especially on kickoff returns. We've seen it on punt returns, kick returns, the fumbles. These are just little things, man, that just absolutely cannot happen. And it really pissed me off during the game because we were losing 10-7 going into halftime because of these stupid mistakes. I don't understand how it's taken the Eagles so long to adjust these new kickoff rules. And I know that they're kicking away from Britton Covey because obviously he's a better kick returner than Shipley. But those are just two mistakes that can't happen. And you can't do that in the same half, man. That's just bad, and it screwed us. It screwed us twice. And then Jake Elliott, I understand the win's a little bit of a factor here, but you can't miss three field goals and a half. You just absolutely cannot do it. And I love Jake Elliott. He's done so much for this city. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion with this city. He was clutch last year. But you can't do it. You just can't miss it. Technically in stats, he's 0 for 2, but he missed the one field goal in which there's an offsides in the defense, and we had to re-kick, and he missed again when we get 5 yards shorter. These are just things sequences of events that cannot happen for the Eagles. So later on in the game, him missing all these kicks, it led to us going for a 2 late in the game when it was already a 3-score game. Or could have been, it was already a 3-score game. So I don't really know what to think of the 2-point conversion. There's a couple ways to look at it. One, that we just want to send a message to Jake Elliott that you can't miss 3 field goals. You're not going to play. We're going to go for 2-pointers. That's definitely one of the messages. The other is this is the Commanders, and they just wanted to run up the score. I'm not quite sure, but that is right when the brawl broke loose, in which Tyler Steen took on the whole Commanders defense. Players are getting ejected, blah 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 blah. It was a mess. So, and Dan Quinn after the game asked about. He's like, if that's how they want to be, we'll see him again in 2 weeks. Shut up, man. Shut up. You're 4-11. We destroyed you in the NFC Championship last year, slaughtered you to go win a Super Bowl, and you're just an embarrassment this year. So I don't know what the hell he wants to talk about. We've already clinched the division. He can say whatever the hell he wants. He's an idiot. So yeah, that's some of the big news for the game. I'll talk a little bit more, some sequences of events here. The tush push has just not been good. It just has not been what it used to be. We're having too many false starts, and the NFL referees are clearly calling it more strict. I've had my theories on this whole year of how they've been trying to switch up the way they've been calling it since the beginning, and I'm not shocked to see them being more strict on these false starts that really don't even look like false starts. The referees are a bunch of idiots, too. And I think Roger Goodell has stepped in and said some things, or whoever has stepped in. I don't know, because a couple of these aren't even false starts. But we can't have first and goal on the 1 and then false start, tush push, another penalty that we have. You can't do that. Just start to run the ball in or run an RPO, because I'm sick of seeing this happen where we get inside like the 3-yard line on like a first and second and goal, and we just have to go back beyond the 5 because we screwed ourselves. Those have been some of the most infuriating plays that we've seen this year as Eagles fans. We cannot have that crap. anymore. Um, so yeah, second half was a lot better. I'm looking over some of my notes. That first and goal tush push was awful. The inside zone runs really have not been working. Those have just been embarrassing. But at the same time, we have Fred Johnson playing. Brett Toth has been playing a good amount of time. Cam Jurgens has not been that great. Tyler Steen has not been that great. So we need Lane Johnson back. He's one of the best in the sport at his position. One of the best in the sport. Period. Good news is he's expected to play next week. So is Jalen Carter. That's the good news there, and we really need those two back. That'll be big time. So, the run game did pick up some steam later on in the game. Saquon Barkley broke a couple loose. He ended up with a touchdown, 21 carries on 132 yards, and that touchdown. So that was good to see. Tank Bigsby broke one loose. He had 4 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown. So, 207 total rushing yards for the Eagles because Jalen had 40 yards off 7 attempts. That's good to see. Hopefully, the run game's starting to get hot at the right time. I know this is the Commanders and Raiders defense, but we can really use this down the stretch. And we've been using more Jalen in design runs, which I'm also a fan of. So, some good stuff there. Receiving wise, A.J. Brown, 9 receptions for 95 yards. He had 11 targets in that first half. Smitty, 6 receptions for 42 yards and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert had a touchdown as well. So, I mean, I was really proud of the offense, despite, the Commanders' defense not being that great. A couple of good weeks, and hopefully we're going to hot at the right time. Nick Sirianni seems to be playing a big part of that. And, when there's no reason to hate on Camiscioli, there's no reason to hate. I'm a very rational person, I'd like to think. And I've seen a lot of good stuff the last couple of weeks. Again, two weaker defenses, but you know what? We've had a tough schedule, and we deserve a couple games against some pretty bad teams. So, I'm not gonna hate on the guy when there's something to hate on. I think I've seen a lot of good stuff coming from this team lately, offensively, despite the opponents. So hopefully we can carry that momentum into Buffalo. So on the defensive side, things have looked great. Brandon Graham, how about him, man? Another sack in this one. He's looked good. Jordan Davis has become like a main guy on this defense that we need. He is just blowing up run plays left and right. 2 tackles for loss in this game. He is just so good and a problem for interior offensive linemen. We need him back on this team. Him and Jalen Carter together. Oh my God, because Jordan Davis, he really is having a great year. It's so good to see the leap he's taken for this defense. Jahad Campbell's he's gotten some more playing time with Nakobe Dean suffering some injuries. Nakobe Dean left this game early in that first quarter. Campbell got a tackle for loss in this one. Byron Young had a sack in this game. But, the defense just continues to look good. They let up a garbage time touchdown here. So nothing crazy. And again, I know the Commanders were were with Marcus Mariota in this game, but it was still an overall good game for the Eagles, despite that first half. So it's a great one. Eagles path for the 2 seed. It's quite simple. They need to beat the Buffalo Bills, and then they need to beat the Commanders in their final 2 games, and they need the Bears to lose their final 2 games in which they play the 49ers and the Lions. So those are 2 tough games for the Bears. It's possible. Obviously, the Eagles have a couple games coming up. One in Buffalo, it's kind of tough. We'll see what happens against the Commanders week 18. So I'm not ruling it out yet, but it looks like the 3 seed is set in stone locked. And not only that, it looks like we're almost guaranteed to play an NFC West team with the way the bracket's shaped out. You got the Packers who lost the Bears. They're clinging on to that 7 seed. It looks like they're going to get that. And the Lions, looks like after their loss today to the Steelers, it looks like they're pretty screwed. I don't think they're going to get in. So the 5 and 6 seed is going to be NFC West teams in the Niners, Seahawks, Rams. Who knows the order that's going to be? So it's likely one of those 3 teams coming to Philly. I highly doubt it'll be the Packers. So we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, I'll be back after the Bills game to recap it, and maybe we'll have a better picture of what's going on in the NFC playoff picture after week 16 or week 7. This is week. Screw it. Go Birds.